Welcome everybody to Sports Clash Radio. I'm your host Chad Martin. With me as always is JC, and this is episode 2. And tonight, this is our Clash of Champions edition. We're talking WWE wrestling pay-per-views this weekend, Sunday night on the WWE Network.
And not only that, this is the Raw brand's first Raw-only pay-per-view since the brand split back in July.
Exactly, because SmackDown had theirs 2 weeks ago. So we're going to get into this. We're just going to give you a preview of what we think is going to happen, what we believe might happen, and possibly what should happen. As we all know, the WWE writers don't always give us what we want. They've gotten a lot better.
Yeah, but I think that can be attributed to WWE understanding that they need to go in a new direction.
Exactly.
Like the era of the 80s and up really through to a certain point in the 90s. You know, it was all about how big are you, how muscle bound are you, and that's what they wanted. And then they kind of got back to that a little bit in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But really, there's so much phenomenal talent that's out on the indie scene, and since the internet is what it is, people have access to those guys, and I think a lot of people were calling them out, saying, "Hey, these guys are better workers than half the people you have on your show."
And that's probably why we got the Cruiserweight division back, too. I have no doubt.
Thank God.
They will probably not come out and say that's why, but it is. And it's one of the reasons we have AJ Styles now in the WWE.
Which you will never hear me complain about, ever.
Exactly. It's the best thing to happen to WWE in a long, long time. Well, I don't know, since Kevin Owens, in my opinion, because I love KO.
There was a period of time, probably 2006 or 2005 to 2008, where TNA was a much better product than anything WWE was putting out. And the reason behind that was AJ Styles.
Exactly.
And a lot of the work that was being done in the X Division with him and Chris Sabin, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, and all those guys.
Now, unfortunately, AJ is not on this show, but thankfully, we have some awesome workers who are part of the show, and that's going to be the headline, and we'll get to that. But let's go ahead and start off with a kickoff match that nobody really cares about. I don't. You may.
No.
Some of you guys out there may care about it.
I seriously do not. I think outside of their family members, no one genuinely cares about this.
Exactly, and that's Alicia Fox versus Nia Jax. They tried to get back into this whole thing where they'd give these monster characters these squash matches.
Right, and I guess it's supposed to help people buy into the monster character, but if the monster character is squashing jobbers, then it's not effective, especially when you have the local enhancement talent coming in and getting beaten up, and then their matches where they're actually wrestling main roster talent are lower mid-carders or curtain jerkers at best, or in the case of Alicia Fox, someone who's rarely, if ever, on television.
Exactly. So I don't care about this. It's obvious Nia Jax is going to win this. I don't think there's any question.
She wins it running away. I think Alicia Fox will get it in some early offense, but it'll be probably around 30 seconds to a minute worth of offense.
Exactly.
I think Nia Jax wins in 4 minutes.
Now, they haven't really said what the order is going to be of these matches, but
we're just going to do it from non-title matches, and we'll work up through the title matches themselves.
Exactly. Now, if they had Sami Zayn versus Chris Jericho opening the show, that wouldn't be a bad thing.
No, not at all.
That would really start this show off hot.
But I think they'll start off with the championship match. It's just a matter of which one. Maybe the Cruiserweight or the Tag Team Championship will probably start off the show.
Which, again, either they might do the Tag Team Championship, or I don't know, they might use it as a filler match between a couple of these other matches. And we'll get to that, but let's just go ahead and start with Sami Zayn and Chris Jericho.
We're going to roll with Zayn and Jericho.
We don't know what it's going to be, but we're going to talk about this match first anyway. So, when you look at this, Chris Jericho has been on fire. I mean,
he has.
Chris Jericho is amazing to me. You'd think that he should have been gone a long time ago, but he keeps himself relevant.
Yeah, he keeps reinventing himself, and he's always had catchphrases with the Jerichoholics thing and the ass clown thing and whatnot, but now his catchphrase now is calling people a stupid idiot and saying that you better watch it. Watch what? It. Anything he does. But whatever Jericho does, it's golden because he does it with such conviction.
Absolutely.
That, he's being dead serious, but it's hilarious and it's always entertaining.
And that's why people should appreciate Jericho while they still have Jericho running this stuff, because you don't get a lot of the older guys who are Jericho's age and older just don't have it the way he has it together. Is just amazing.
I mean, you still have the gift of Jericho, so drink it in, man.
So while you're drinking it in, do you think Chris Jericho goes over on Sami Zayn in this match?
Normally, I was wrestling with this because normally I would say yes, just because Jericho's the established guy.
And they still book him strong.
And yeah, they do. They still book him strong. And Sami really, he's done memorable things like the ladder match at WrestleMania when he suplexed Kevin Owens on his head on the ladder. I thought he killed Kevin Owens, and it looked incredible, but I'm actually gonna say that Jericho gives Zayn the rub here, and I'm gonna have Zayn winning via his haluva kick.
So this is my question for you then: how far into the match before he starts selling the leg? Because that is a Sami Zayn favorite. That's every match. I'm just asking you, how far into this match do you think it'll be?
Well,
quarter of the way into the match before it happens to him, halfway into the match, or three-quarters of the way through the match? It's gonna happen.
Right. Well, and that's been the thing with Sami Zayn. It's the ankle. He rolled his ankle. He got an ankle sprain. Whatever. Well, that's fine. If that's what the character is, Jericho's going to make that work.
Exactly.
Because Jericho is one of the greatest ring psychologists that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
So Jericho's probably going to go after the leg from the start, but you're still going to see Sami Zayn do some of his high spots. And I really hope that Sami brings out his tornado DDT where he dives through the turnbuckle between the middle and bottom rope.
That'd be nice.
That's just a cool move.
I'm going to go with Chris Jericho in this match, simply because I think they try to stretch this out to give Sami something to do, because this is the first thing he's been in really a while since they just kind of throw him into everything else.
They kind of teased the dissension between Jericho and his best friend, Kevin Owens, a few weeks ago. So I think Sami Zayn, especially being Owens' arch nemesis of sorts in a way, if Zayn goes over here, you can push that dissension between him and Jericho just a little bit more.
That is a great point. So, you're going Sami Zayn. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say Jericho. Just because you never can tell what they're going to do with the man. Just when I think, I thought they would put AJ Styles over on Jericho. They didn't do it.
Yeah, but I think at that point they were still WWE.
Well, they were debating on what to do with AJ.
Right,
at that point.
And I think they wanted to bring him in because they knew people would watch.
Yeah.
But I don't think they understood what they had. They just knew this dude had so much hype, and he's been around for so long, he can do it.
Exactly.
Let's see if he sinks or swims.
Well, let's go on to Cesaro versus Sheamus. This is the best of 7 series finale. Of course, it's tied at 3-3 because that's what you have to have in wrestling.
Of course,
it has to go all 7.
I don't like the way it was done though, with Sheamus just jumping out 3-0, and then Cesaro storming back. One of the matches wasn't even on television.
Yeah,
was that a live event?
Yeah, they used the NBA storyline for this one.
So I just felt like maybe even if they had done it like 3-1 and done like the NBA Finals were. It was 3-1. Golden State was up, and then Cleveland came back. Like that, I can get into, just because you have Sheamus win one, have Cesaro win one, and then Sheamus boom 2 in a row. Well, Cesaro, you're in a hole. What you gonna do? Are you gonna fight back or what? I think having him win 3, it telegraphs it to make it feel like Sheamus is set up to win this one.
Exactly.
But I think they're gonna go with Cesaro just because Cesaro was catching fire around the time of the draft. And not only the draft, but late last year before John Cena got injured during his run as United States champion.
Yeah.
Cena and Cesaro and Owens were having these great triple threat matches or singles matches back and forth, and Cesaro is one of the most talented workers in the company.
He is, but he needs, things they do with him, though.
He needs the win more than Sheamus does as a character. Sheamus is multiple-time world champion.
Exactly.
So if Sheamus loses, it doesn't hurt Sheamus, but it benefits Cesaro greatly.
But my biggest fear is, the running joke is Vince McMahon's hatred of Swedes. Stuff like that. It's crazy. But my thing is, though, the reason that rumor really took off is because every time Cesaro, you think is about to get his big push, he's over, then they just do something just to kill all of his momentum. So I believe Cesaro's going to go over in this, but it would not surprise me if they did something stupid and put Sheamus over.
For years, this guy has had the fans behind him. You know, winning the inaugural Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. It came down to him and Big Show, and of course everyone's thinking, well, Big Show's going to win because he's a giant like Andre was, and this is a giant Battle Royal, blah, 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 blah. And Cesaro just lifts him up like it's nothing and tosses him out of the ring.
Which was one of the better
moments
for that.
That was a good call. That was perfectly executed. But and that place went bananas. The audience lost their minds. So you can tell that fans have been behind Cesaro solidly for 3 to 4 years. Even when Cesaro and Tyson Kidd were doing the heel tag team thing, they still really weren't heels because people loved them so much.
Exactly.
And I think the time has come for Cesaro to finally get something going in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree with you. I completely agree with that, but it just remains to be seen what they're going to do with it exactly. I think Cesaro too, but it just wouldn't surprise me. Let's move on to our first championship of the night. Now, whether this is actually the first championship match of the night, we don't know. But let's talk about the WWE Cruiserweight Championship.
Yes!
Which could potentially steal the show and be the match of the night.
I watched the Cruiserweight Classic every week this summer. I mean, because at first I wanted to see what it was about. I knew that there were going to be matches that had my attention. Some were going to be good. Some were going to flop just because guys are filling each other out. Some guys aren't familiar with one another. But I mean, overall, the Cruiserweight Classic was a massive success. You know, two of my favorite match from the Cruiserweight Classic was Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa at the end of the first round. It was the last match of the first round, and they tore that place down. But you saw guys throughout that you knew were going to be players in the future. You know, T.J. Perkins looked good. Of course, he won the thing. He's the Cruiserweight champion. Of course, people were already familiar with Brian Kendrick, with him being part of the longest-running SmackDown Tag Team Champions with Paul London. Grand Metalik, I didn't know a lot about him, but I liked him. I liked Lince Dorado. But then you had the really entertaining guys like Rich Swann, Cedric Alexander, and Jack Gallagher. I can't wait for them to bring him in. Zack Sabre Jr. and Kota Ibushi. So the Cruiserweight division is something I am pumped about.
So did you expect TJ to be the champion?
I did not.
Was going to be?
I thought it was going to be Kota Ibushi, just because he looks so dominant.
Yeah.
And you know, we know it's scripted entertainment and whatnot.
But that's good storytelling when you're just not sure about what's going on.
Exactly. When it's a complete crapshoot because you don't know week in and week out where they're going to go with this thing. Generally with Raw and SmackDown, you have a pretty good idea. NXT, you have a good idea. But the Cruiserweight Classic was a guessing game week in and week out. But Kota Ibushi, I thought he looked super impressive in his way that he manhandled. There was another guy. It's actually part of the Rock's family. The Rock, Roman Reigns, the Usos, and all that. His name was like Sean Maluda or something like that. You could tell that the charisma wasn't really there, but in ring he looked smooth. He looked really good. He did some things that were eye-opening and impressive, so I liked him too.
Well, that'd be interesting. So, do you think that T.J. Perkins walks out with the Cruiserweight Championship?
Oh, without a doubt.
They're going to keep it on him. Brian Kendrick, he's there to put on the show with him, and I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be an exciting match.
He won the belt a week and a half ago. You know, like he's not losing it in a week and a half. It's just not happening.
If he does, what will that tell you about this Cruiserweight Championship?
Well, they're trying to establish it.
Yeah.
They want it to mean something. You know, why have a belt if it's meaningless?
Yeah, we've had this conversation many times.
And Brian Kendrick is... I understand that people weren't happy with him winning the match on Monday night to become the number one contender. Just because you have those super talented guys and Rich Swann and Cedric Alexander who are going to be around for a while.
Yeah, but they had to have a heel character.
But with Brian Kendrick... You already have a built-in storyline because all through the Cruiserweight Classic, up until he got eliminated, the thing with Kendrick was, well, he's 37 years old. This is his last chance. He may never make it back here ever again. But it's also someone that people are familiar with.
Exactly.
So it kind of puts T.J. Perkins in the situation where he's never been on the stage. He's never been in front of 15,000 people at a WWE event. So, and Kendrick, he lived and breathed there for years and years and years. Kendrick came up with Daniel Bryan and all this stuff. So you have these storylines that T.J. Perkins has a lot of obstacles to overcome, as does Kendrick. But at the end of the day, Perkins has had the belt for a week and a half. He wins with his knee bar.
There you go. All right. I agree. I think T.J. Perkins keeps it. Because obviously he has just hadn't been champion long enough. And it looks like this is what they're trying to do with all their championships. Because speaking of that, the Raw...
And to the point about Perkins, I think not only are they establishing this cruiserweight division, but I think they're also trying to reach a new target audience.
Yeah.
Because T.J. Perkins he's Filipino. And that was the thing that they stressed about TJ throughout the entire Cruiserweight Classic. So for the Filipino fans that they already have, now they kind of have someone that they can look up to because they can identify them with because they share a heritage.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the Raw Tag Team Championship. You have the New Day, who have held this championship
New Day
for over a year now. They have stressed this to no end. I haven't been a fan of the build up to this match. I wasn't a fan of all the way over the top comedy stuff. I think the New Day is your comedy team.
Yes, Gallows and Anderson don't need to be doing.
No, they don't. That's the part about it I did not like. I wanted those guys to come in and just be headbangers and just destroy people.
They're
That's what they're
into bust skulls.
That's right.
And they have the skull with the gas mask as their logo, which is cool. But the doctor segments and the old day thing. But because those segments bombed, New Day was able to come out there and rip on them.
Oh, and look strong, dude.
And Kofi Kingston is arguably the greatest tag team wrestler of all time. And I think he has the most combined days spent as a WWE tag team champion between all of his reigns. But Xavier Woods is phenomenal on a microphone.
Oh yeah.
Big E. He doesn't even need to talk. He can do goofy things.
The way
his
facial expressions alone
right
can sell anything that he says. You don't have to really listen to what he says. It's his facial expressions and how his mannerisms is everything.
But you know that New Day is hot when they can come out at WrestleMania dressed as Saiyans from Dragon Ball Z.
That's right.
And they come out of a big giant box of fake cereal, something that they made up. They came up with this idea, doing a promo one day, and they just said, you need to go eat a big bowl of Bootios, and people were like, Bootios, that's hilarious. And so now there is a legitimate cereal called Bootios that you can buy.
But that just tells you.
Right, that goes to show the power of the New Day. They're on fire. But Gallows and Anderson are awesome in their own right. When they're in the ring, you see how good they are.
Exactly.
And Carl Anderson has some of the coolest offense I've seen. Like his flying boot that he does, where he just completely lays out, puts one boot to the head. That's cool. His spine buster.
Oh, his spine buster's sweet.
We were talking about this the other night, and just how reminiscent of Arn Anderson that spine buster is. That's the closest to an Arn Anderson spine buster that you'll see.
Yeah. So do you think Gallows and Anderson go over on New Day finally? Do they finally take the belts off of New Day?
To your point about the build-up to this match, I don't think they do. Because the build-up was so disappointing, I think it would make their title run fall kind of flat. So I think New Day keeps the belts, maybe up until Survivor Series or something like that, if they can turn the ship around. Because I like the idea of Gallows and Anderson versus New Day.
Yeah.
So if they can turn this thing around by Survivor Series, I think then would be the perfect time to put the belts on Gallows and Anderson.
My only thinking of that is, and this is why I think Gallows and Anderson will go over in this match, is because New Day wins again, then what does Gallows and Anderson do after that? Where do they go and say, well, we need to...
It's all a matter of how they win. And they don't even have to win. They just have to keep the belts.
Well, exactly.
Gallows and Anderson come out there and say, you know what? You guys are taking this too far. And they could just beat the brakes off the New Day.
Because who is your next tag team on Raw?
The only one people care about are Enzo and Cass.
And they are faces.
Right.
Which is yet another reason I think Gallows and Anderson go over in this match. I just don't... I think they have to do something with those two to really make them strong. I would only be disappointed if they did that, if they didn't put them over strong, and I mean just vicious.
Right.
I think that's what's missing from those
If
guys.
Gallows and Anderson win, the manner, even if it's a back and forth match, the ending of it has to be lopsided in Gallows and Anderson. They need to be down every member of New Day. So if it's Kofi and Big E in the match, well, they need to get Kofi and Big E, but they also need to get Xavier Woods.
Yeah, because what it'll do is it'll give New Day some doubt. It'll give them some more character building stuff to go on. Doubting themselves. We did all this. There's three of us.
The power positivity has been their thing since they got together.
Yeah, and what if this is the first crack in that? They haven't been beaten in over a year for these titles.
Well, they kind of teased that with the Wyatt family storyline.
Yeah, but then they screwed that up.
Right, that was butchered by creative.
That had a lot of makings for something awesome, and they screwed the pooch on that.
And with that storyline, that kind of cemented to me as Xavier Woods being one of the most underrated performers in the company.
I love Xavier Woods. I just think he's great. I'm just a New Day fan, though.
And hey, if you guys like New Day and their brand of irreverent entertainment, you also like comic books and video games and stuff like that, go check out Up Up Down Down, which is Xavier Woods' YouTube channel. It's absolutely awesome. I watch it for hours on end. So there you go, Austin. There's your free plug.
That's it. All right, let's move on to our next championship match, the Women's Championship match, which is arguably three of the best female performers, and I'm talking all over performers.
Right.
Because you have a lot of these women wrestlers are great, but you got Sasha, Charlotte, who's the champion, and the newcomer Bayley, who's just hot off of NXT.
So going into this, I would like to see Sasha win the belt back just because of how short that run was, just because they thought her back injury was more severe than what it really was, and put it back on Charlotte.
Sure do love some Bayley, though.
But I don't see Charlotte losing it for the exact same reason.
Yeah.
It would be too short, and it just generates more heat for Charlotte. Charlotte, I think when Charlotte, Sasha, and Becky first came up to the main roster, Charlotte and Sasha were the ones that were absolutely ready.
Exactly.
Becky still needed some work, but she made it work.
Yeah.
And I think Bayley, you can still see that a lot of the things she's doing is designed still more for that smaller, intimate NXT crowd and not a big Raw or big time pay-per-view audience yet. So Bayley, I don't think has a chance of winning this at all.
I think hers don't come till WrestleMania.
I think Charlotte, I'm putting Charlotte at 70% here to win. Sasha at 30, Bayley at 0. But I think Charlotte retains with her figure 8. I think she might get Bayley to tap out. I don't think Sasha takes the loss.
Well, I think they need to, because this is, you hate to put down this as a lesser pay-per-view, but it is. It's not part of the big four. No. So I really think, I agree. I think Charlotte retains this. I just don't see them putting it on Sasha, especially I don't see it on Bayley right now. My pick for Bayley is WrestleMania. That's my early WrestleMania pick. Okay. They will work her into WrestleMania some kind of way for this championship belt, and I think that's where she'll get her moment, because that'll give her another 6 months of build-up before that match happens. So that's what I'm looking forward to. U.S. Championship, we've got Roman Reigns and Rusev. I would say that angle took kind of a hiatus when Rusev and Lana got married, but at least they tried to play it off as Rusev getting injured and stuff, even though everybody knows they were, out getting hitched.
Anyone who has social media knows.
Yeah, so it's hard not to overlook that, but still, what I do like about it is these guys have just been beating the living hell out of each other. I mean, they've been physical, and they've taken turns really just pummeling the other one. So I believe Roman Reigns is going to go over here.
I hope he does.
On Rusev. I think it would be great for the championship. It'd also be great for Reigns. I like what they've done with him and pulled him back a little bit. And you can tell the fans have gotten
back behind him a little bit.
They are. Because it's like, okay, he hasn't whined and complained at all about it. He just keeps full steam ahead out there.
The Royal Rumble before WrestleMania 30.
Yeah.
So they're doing this build for Batista to win the Rumble and then go take on Orton as the main event WrestleMania 30. Of course, we know how they ended up working with Daniel Bryan walking out as champion, which is great. It was great for Daniel Bryan because he was white hot. But in that Royal Rumble match, everything at WrestleMania 30, or at Royal Rumble leading up to WrestleMania 30, everything in that Royal Rumble match until the end of it, when the audience learned that Daniel Bryan wasn't going to come out there, they were cheering Roman Reigns throughout the whole thing. And that's when he, bested Kane's record. He eliminated like 12 people in that match, or 13, something like that. But when it came down to the end, and it was Reigns and Batista at the end of the pay-per-view, I mean, those people were booing the hell out of Dave Batista.
Oh, yeah.
And for everyone out there who is a Batista hater, go climb back under the rock that you came from, because Dave Batista is great as a wrestler. He's one of the best heels of the 2000s, without a doubt.
And he's a great human being on top of
Yeah.
it. You see his cancer videos, or his fighting cancer and stuff like that. Oh man, they're awesome. You look those up on YouTube.
And watch his documentaries about him. Like, that dude has been through some stuff.
Yes, he
some
has.
Insane stuff.
It's amazing he's come out.
And but anyway, getting back to the point here, like you were saying, they've pulled him back, which has caused people to kind of gravitate to him more, because now he's not being forced on them. I think that it's right for Reigns to win this championship, because I think this is kind of what Rusev is at this point in his career.
Yeah.
He's a mid-card guy. You know that Reigns has the potential to be a top guy. He's already been a 3-time champ. So, but for Reigns to go ahead and add a lower tier belt, because he's been a tag team champion with Seth Rollins, he's been 3-time WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Go ahead and add that United States Championship to his resume, and he's starting to build that Hall of Fame career. And by the time it's all said and done, I think that's exactly where he's going to be.
I think so too. I don't think there's any question. So let's move on to the main event. The match I've been waiting for. I think it's going to be awesome, because you got two of the best workers in the entire company.
For all of you who haven't, this match is, of course, for the Universal Championship. Seth Rollins versus the incumbent, Kevin Owens, the reigning champ. But for you people who haven't done it, go on YouTube, check out the Ring of Honor match between Tyler Black, a.k.a. Seth Rollins, and Kevin Steen, a.k.a. Kevin Owens. Treat yourself. It's a hell of a show. These guys have known each other forever. They're very familiar with how one another work. And I have nothing but faith that this will be one of the top matches of the night. Yeah, I think the top match, if they give them time, will be Sami Zayn and Jericho. And then I'll probably put it at TJ Perkins and Brian Kendrick. But Owens and Rollins is going to be great, and we all know that going into it.
This match, as good as it's going to be, if they were to let this match go 20 minutes plus, and I think they will, they get plenty of time for it.
It's the championship match. It will.
If this match ended clean, it could be match of the year. Now I say if it ended clean, because what's going to happen is this is where you're going to see Triple H show back up after you haven't seen him since he helped Kevin Owens win this belt. You'll see him show up at the end of this match, because that's going to lead to Triple H and Seth Rollins. Will they do it at Survivor Series, or they try to hold off till Mania, like the rumor has been? That's still such a long way away. They could still do that, but I really believe they'll try to start that at least at Survivor Series, even if it's part of a tag match, one of their Survivor Series tag matches, where they might first introduce it there. But regardless, Triple H will get involved in this match again.
Yeah, I agree
come
with
out
that.
here and do that.
It's just
Kevin Owens will retain.
It's just a matter of how does he get involved. Is it? I hope it's not the cheap. He distracts Rollins from like the ramp or something like that. And
if he gets involved, he needs to clean Rollins' clock.
If they do the roll up of Doom as the finish, I am going to be livid.
Well, I don't think they
just
will.
Just because you wasted our time.
The roll up of Doom belongs on Raw and SmackDown,
right?
Because that's where they use it to death. We saw that on SmackDown.
We've seen that repeatedly over the last few weeks. But if Triple H interferes, he either needs to be delivering a pedigree to Rollins, or he needs to do something that gets Rollins' attention long enough that Rollins can turn around and eat a pop-up powerbomb.
Yeah, exactly. But it's got to be something cool. And I think they'll do that. I mean, because when he helped Owens win the belt, nobody expected that. Especially when he hit Reigns, they thought, okay, well, he's fixing to screw Kevin Owens. Here goes Kevin Owens. Might be turning babyface.
Yeah, that was so well executed.
It was very awesome. Well done. And as much grief as we do give the writers a lot, and well-deserved, I might add, they do get some things right. When it comes to these pay-per-views, they get a lot of stuff right, more than they get wrong. on these big shows, especially in this last year. They've really done a lot better work when it comes to that. The problem with me is their build up to a lot of these matches. This one hadn't been so bad.
No,
especially Seth Rollins, I think, has really pulled it off.
Right. These two guys are two of the best in the world at what they do. And we've seen with Kevin Owens, since he stepped foot in the door, he always had bravado and confidence.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, Seth has never been short on that himself. And that was one of the things that almost got him in trouble when he was in developmental back in FCW before they moved to NXT. But, of course, Rollins was the first NXT champion. Kevin Owens was an NXT champion. Seth Rollins is a 3-time WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Kevin Owens is now Universal Champion. So these two guys, they're going to go out, and what I'm looking forward to the most, because they both do this in their matches, they talk trash during their matches. We haven't seen two competitors legitimately talk trash to each other mid-match since Rock and Austin, or Rock and Triple H and Stone Cold. Those three guys right there, they were constantly yapping at one another during the matches, and that's what made them feel so. They made them feel like the hatred within the build-up to the match was so genuine and authentic.
And what's cool with these guys, the way they talk trash, is two totally different styles. Kevin Owens is just cocky.
Right.
He can do no wrong. And Seth Rollins is just fire. He's on fire all the time. That's how his attitude is when he works. It's how his attitude is when he talks. But Kevin Owens is just all cockiness.
Yeah. Kevin Owens, he has that antagonistic confidence.
And I think this is really where you're going to see the rest of Seth Rollins' face turn. I'll be right here.
I don't know. I don't think it'll be that quick. I think this match he'll do some heel things. He's going to do a lot of heel actions, but he's not going to do too many of them.
No, I'm talking about the end of it. But the finish of this match is what's going to turn him the rest of the way face. And you're right. I think during the match you'll see some of his heelish stuff that he does. You won't see a whole lot of it. You will see some. But by the end of this match, his full face turn will be completed because of what happens in it.
I think the audience will be behind him by the end of the match. But the audience,
they're behind him anyway.
Right, they're already behind him. The dude gets face reactions everywhere he goes.
Well, what I'm saying is this is WWE's, I guess that's my point, this is where the WWE finally gets with the fans and goes, okay, fully face right now at the end of this match.
I don't think they do, and I don't think they should.
Do you not?
I don't.
Where do you think they're going to go after this?
I think they can still do stuff where Rollins is whining and complaining that Triple H screwed him again. He has not had a legitimate chance to win in these matches because he's been screwed. Of course, Stephanie can come back with, well, we kind of did the same thing for you for all this time, and Rollins can do kind of that the crybaby heel reaction, which he did during his championship run. Don't do it as much, but do it a little bit here and there. They can work stuff where, especially if Reigns wins the United States Championship, do Rollins and Reigns, the former tag team champions, the Shield. They take on Rusev and Owens in tag matches on Raw.
Oh, I think
with Rollins, maybe attacking Reigns at first, but then they build a trust back up, leading up into a bigger show.
I just don't think they're going to do that. I think at the end of this match, you're going to see Rollins' face turn. Now, what I think they will do, and you kind of led into that a little bit, is he's not going to be all giddy, happy face. That's definitely not it. He's going to be more of the Stone Cold type, the Rock type. Those guys who still have all their attitude and stuff, but just doing it from the face perspective. That's what I mean when I say that. He's not going to go and start shaking hands and doing all the poses and all that good stuff. Well, he's still going to be...
He's not going to be a white meat baby face.
Brash, full of fire, Seth Rollins, who's a face. He's going to be less of the whining to the authority and more like, you know what, I can do this on my own. It don't matter. I don't need anybody. I'm still going to do it. It's going to be less of the whiny Rollins when he was a heel and more the assured Rollins, the architect who is now face. And I think that's what we're going to see after Clash of Champions is over with. It's going to be an interesting pay-per-view. I think it ought to be really good.
Right.
When you look at this card, I mean, it's going to be entertaining.
This card shakes out well. The only one I legitimately do not care about in any shape, form, or fashion is the kickoff show match between Alicia Fox and Nia Jax. But, 5 minutes later, no one will care anyway, so we can move on.
Exactly. I just think it's going to be so much better than the SmackDown pay-per-view. And I liked it.
Yes.
I love the SmackDown pay-per-view.
Backlash was good because Ambrose's run was kind of getting stale.
Yeah, it really was.
But I didn't expect them to just go ahead and throw the belt on AJ like that. I'm glad they did, don't get me wrong.
Exactly. I thought that was the best move, but I didn't
I like Ambrose, too. But AJ Styles, everything he does inside of a wrestling ring, his promos aren't the best, but it's the way that the confidence that he has, his mannerisms when he does his promos in the ring. It's the little thing he does, like after he nails a big move, going and boasting to the audience or talking trash to his opponent. But you see, everything he does in the ring serves a purpose.
Exactly.
And that's what makes him a phenomenal performer and a phenomenal psychologist inside the ring.
And it's one of the reasons why WWE had to go with him.
Yeah,
because when he got in there and they let him have an opportunity, you can't deny the man's talent. You can't deny his charisma. You can't deny that he belongs at the top of the wrestling world. You just can't.
Right, and I thought the women's match that they had at Backlash wasn't too bad either. The 6-women elimination match.
It was a lot better than I thought it was.
Surprised me that Carmella was in there as long as she did, and that it came down to her and Becky. But I mean, it was kind of obvious from the jump that was Becky's to win.
Absolutely.
But they made the right call. That's where they needed to go with that. The one thing that really surprised me was Heath Slater and Rhino actually winning the belts, which I don't think they'll have the belts long. Just because the Usos as heels has been cool.
As heels. I think that was a perfect move on their part because they were getting stale.
Right, and they were, but WWE needs to rescind that PG tag just a little bit with the Usos.
Yeah, and they don't have to go full-fledged with that.
Right, they don't need to be using hardcore profanity, but they need to be able to say that, ass or damn, ever so often, like...
Not just say, but, we're gonna hurt you so
bad. We're gonna go kick the crap out of you. Right, I feel threatened. Thank you for that.
I'm so intimidated right now.
Yeah.
But their actions are pretty awesome.
Right.
They have that look about them when they're getting on you that they are just pissed.
They do, and if they can find the confidence when they're delivering promos or backstage segments, they'll be fine. Like when they were faces, for whatever reason, they were comfortable,
Yeah.
Like you could tell that they didn't have to do a whole lot in the promo. They could just be chill and relaxed because that's kind of what they were.
That's right.
Now with this, they're more attitude, more in your face. You can tell they're not quite as comfortable delivering that.
Mm-hmm.
But, when one of the Usos the other night looked at Heath Slater and said, I don't care about you or your 26 raggedy ass kids. Like, that's cool. That's entertaining. Like, that's funny. So, I think the Usos are going to have a great run as heels, and I can't wait to see how that shakes out for them.
Yeah.
And I thought it was cool they pulled double duty at Backlash.
Exactly. So, that was fun. That was exciting. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Now, look, if you agree with our picks, if you don't agree, if you have a different opinion, we'd love to hear from you. You can leave your comments down below this video. You can give us all kinds of feedback. Follow us on Facebook at Sports Clash Radio. You can follow us on Twitter at Sports Clash RAD. They don't give us the I know Rihanna characters, so there you go. Had to deal with it.
You're limited.
So you can do it there. But follow us, get behind us, help support us. We appreciate it.
Subscribe on YouTube. Sports Clash Radio.
Absolutely subscribe. Also, check out our Patreon page. You'll see the link down below also in the description.
Help us keep this thing going.
And we'll even put it right here on the screen for you, but check it out. We're trying to take this thing nationwide. We want to do it with your support, and we really appreciate it. We love our listeners. We really want to be interactive the whole time. Our Patreon page really will let you see what we're going to do. We're just getting this thing started. Like I said, this is only our second episode. We're covering all sports, all things, but we had to include wrestling.
Right.
Because that was near and dear to our hearts anyway. So, wrestling we knew we were going to cover. We are going to do on our Patreon page at both pay-per-views, and won't start with this one because we just literally launched this thing today. This is, like I said, this is our second broadcast of the day. This is our second show. So, But what we're going to do, and I think it's going to be really cool, is for those who have a certain reward level on our Patreon page, what you're going to get to do is we're going to have a live Google Hangout as the pay-per-view happens. So you can go in there with us, join us in the Hangout, talk about these matches as they happen, what you like, what you don't like, what you think is coming up. Your immediate reaction, you'll get our immediate reaction. We like to say your immediate reaction, but that's what we're trying to accomplish with the Sports Clash Radio Network, and that's what we're designing here. And going forward, you'll see a lot of us. If you don't like to look at these faces, you can catch our podcast. We'll be on SoundCloud, all those types of things. So just check us out. Like I said, support us, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all those things. We really appreciate it.
We will discuss NFL, MLB, NBA. So we're not going to be doing all wrestling all the time.
No.
But we felt obligated to not omit it.
Exactly. You'll hear a little bit of updates of this. Matter of fact, on shows, whether there's pay-per-views coming up, we'll have longer wrestling discussions like we do now, previewing the show. We'll probably do a show next week, about 15, 20 minutes talking about the aftermath of the show. It was really off the hook. We may talk longer about it.
And we'll also cover UFC.
Sports. Oh yes, we're definitely covering UFC. Dana White was talking a little bit about the next fights coming up. So we'll see who Conor McGregor faces on that deal. I can't wait to talk about that and get into some of that stuff. You either love Conor or you hate him. There's really no in between with that man. So we'll see what goes on. But we appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you later. We'll talk to you next week after the pay-per-view. Leave your comments below. If we see your comments, we'll even address some of those. Check you guys later.